And in 2008, we saw how some of the bad people got away with essentially forms of fraud, and nobody faced jail.
Well, I don't know about nobody, but
one person.
Yeah.
You can, Danny will look it up. There, one person went to jail for that. But what's super interesting about this is you've outlined all the different benefits and use cases, but it also makes you realize like how very, very early we still are with this, because it takes time for people to adopt the system for different parts of what it benefits. So where's the demand for triple entry accounting? There isn't a huge amount of actual direct demand right now, but you can think of examples. Exchanges, there's been a push to prove that they have the Bitcoin they say they have. You know, is every Bitcoin exchange solvent? Nick Carter's done some work to try and help exchanges prove that by just exposing an address or addresses which show they have the Bitcoin that is claimed. So when we've had this scenario, many scenarios where exchanges have gone into administration or exchanges have gone bust, whether it's Quadriga, whether it's Mt. Gox, by using the triple entry accounting, you can see whether it's El Salvador, where we have previously, I think it was 70% unbanked, maybe more. Everyone within that country now with a mobile phone and access to the internet can now be banked. They're even being given a small amount of Bitcoin. So they're being onboarded to the network. When we talk about censorship resistance, we can look at whether it's what happened in Belarus or Nigeria or even now in Ukraine. We have the ability to be able to send money and nobody can stop. So what we're seeing is these pockets of all these use cases that you're talking about. I'm fully on board. Danny's fully on board. You're fully on board. We've just got a lot more people to kind of educate about this. And this is why this conversation is super interesting, because I think too much of the conversation has gone towards freedom, which I'm not saying is important, but not enough has gone into this, which is explaining to people why this technology is so important and why it works. I think we've started to leapfrog that. And
this is step one. I mean, you have to understand this. You have to, and the regulators have to understand this, and Washington has to understand it, that the innovation is the consensus network. If you get rid of this proof of work consensus network, the innovation's gone. All of the stuff we just talked about doesn't exist anymore.
Maybe that suits them, though.
Well, the established legacy people, but not the people that are up and coming in any of the environments. And right now in America, 45 to 50 million people own Bitcoin. That's a lot of voters. And so you're starting to see, and I'm starting to see in groundswells take place, especially after this infrastructure bill. People realize that they need to be talking to their legislators and representatives. And I think the question I get asked a lot is, why not just get rid of proof of work and do proof of stake? Why not? Why do you need this energy use? And so,
which they're voting on in Europe right now, the EU.
This EU thing is a travesty, really. They use so little energy towards proof of work networks that it's an inconsequential number in the EU. I think it's something a fraction of a percentage, somewhere about, if you look at all of the energy that Europe generates, and then you look at the proof of work networks within Europe, it's something like 0.00018 of the energy utilized within the borders of that country. So if you turn it all off, it means nothing. China used the same excuse, right? China said, we're turning this network off because of the carbon footprint. The actuality is China uses somewhere in the lines of 25,000 terawatt hours a year of coal energy. And they turned off, let's say they had half of the Bitcoin network at the time, it would be 100 terawatt hours of energy. So they're burning 25,000 terawatt hours of coal, and they turned off 100. It's an inconsequential number. And so
they didn't just turn it off, they moved it to another part of the world.
Well, they forced the people that were the early adopters that built these facilities out there to relocate. And the overall effect, China is a major authoritarian, powerhouse in the world, couldn't affect the network, right? If they could have hacked it, they would have. If they could have turned the entire network off, they would have. They're not a fan of people having private property or banking outside of their ability to disrupt it. And so when they passed they passed Bitcoin bans a number since I've been in the space, 13, 17, and 21 was the mining ban. The infrastructure just moved, right, to regions around the world with greater geographic freedom. And the network, amazingly, because it's so robust, had no downtime, right? There were no protests, no lawsuits. People just moved their infrastructure, and the Bitcoin blocks just keep hitting every 10 minutes. So you've never seen somewhere between 50 or 60% of the infrastructure turn off of a network and have no problems, no hiccups at all. And by the way, when they turned the network off, the hash rate fell into the 60s, and now we're up to over 220, 230. So the network's grown 3 or 4 times stronger than when that turned off. And so I think that's a good, it's a good casebook example of what you don't want to do if you're a government around the world and you have the newest, most important accounting and financial technology that's ever been invented for humanity, is to turn it off within your borders, because guess what? It just goes somewhere else, right? And then those other countries, they get all the technologists, they get the smartest people in the world building out the network there, which is going to bring the value there. And what's different about this network with any other financial system is that your market isn't the 350 million people in America. It's 8 billion people. You can do business with everybody. And so to shut that network off and we'll see this play out, is a massive bad decision. Bad governance decision. And it really was a $1 trillion present to the United States, because it all came here mostly. You saw some of it go different parts of the world. And I think the people that moved some of their equipment, unfortunately, they have problems, because not every nation respects the private property of individuals or corporations within their borders. And so what you don't want to do is send $100 million worth of equipment and infrastructure to a region that doesn't have those same protections, and one day your stuff goes offline and you call up and they're like, what stuff? What servers? We don't have any servers here. And that happens. That does happen. And so we saw a lot of it come to America, fortunately, and now we have to embrace that.
Yeah.
We have to embrace it. And you brought it up that we really have to make sure that the 50 million people that own Bitcoin are very active and vocal. We need to make sure our representatives understand what the technology is and the benefits that it brings, and also how it helps America keep its institutions strong and its technological advantage that it has over the world in certain industries. And a lot of these big companies that were birthed in America are the industry leaders. And so our representatives need to know that this makes us stronger. It makes us stronger having this technology grow within our borders. And if we expel it, or if we overregulate it and show the technology within our borders, what happens to the technology is nothing. It doesn't care. It will just move to other regions that have greater freedoms. And you see El Salvador is a great example that you brought up. I believe in the last 40 years in El Salvador, with their traditional banking system, they banked 2 million people, 2 million out of, I think it's 7 or 8 million people in El Salvador, but I'm not sure what the total number is, but I do know the number was 2 million banked. In the first 90 days, 3 million wallets were downloaded. So they increased the banked individuals in their country by 50%. 50% more people were banked in 90 days than their traditional legacy systems took 40 years to bank.